Welcome back, everybody. As Jackie said, we're continuing the conversation here. There's lots of stories in the news as of late. Meat, no meat, can be very confusing for people. So we're having lots of conversations here today regarding on both sides of that topic. And joining us now, we have a couple of people here that are in the vegan community with Veg Life Des Moines. We have Amy Lubert, welcome, and Jared Appenzeller. Thank you for joining us here this morning. And just to familiarize everybody a little bit more with kind of your story and how you maybe got started into the kind of the choice of no meat, would you share yours, Jared?
Yeah, mine's kind of a long story. I'll just give the short version. Basically, after the military, I was sort of thinking about violence that's perpetuated in the world and wanting to not contribute to that anymore. I was kind of fed up on that. And saw some videos online about how animals are raised in modern animal agriculture, and that had turned me off to meat pretty quickly. So I considered myself an animal lover. I had a dog and things like that, and I couldn't imagine doing anything to my dog that they were doing to these animals for the purposes of food. And I found out you can be happy, healthy, and eat tasty foods without harming those animals. And you also have a lower impact on the environment. And it's also incredibly healthy. It lowers your risk of many chronic diseases. So it was an easy decision for me.
Have you noticed a difference in your physical health?
Yeah,
making this change?
I'm an athlete, and initially I wasn't eating enough calories, and I started eating enough calories because I wasn't sure what to do. I ditched meat immediately, and then I didn't know kind of how to backfill in those calories. I figured that out, learned some new recipes, learned about some new foods. Expanded my diet, which is kind of contrary to what a lot of people think. And at that point, had plenty of energy. I felt a ton of energy, very level energy throughout the day, and it was able to perform very well athletically.
Okay.
So.
When you, I totally hear what you're saying about wanting to take care of our animals. I'm an animal lover myself, and wanting to take care of our environment, things like that. Are you looking, those videos you watched, is that more of a mass scale farm, or are we looking at like our small local farmer that's in our backyard?
Where about 90 to 99% of our animal products come from. There are some exceptions to that, but then at the end of the day, even if you're going to raise an animal, let's say in the best case scenario, you don't have to take their life. And often as a child, really, I mean, they're about 5 months old for pigs. They're bred to grow to market weight in a very short amount of time. And there's no need for it. And so for me, it was, essentially wrapped around the fact that we don't need to breed them into existence just to, run a knife across their throat, at the end of it. So.
Okay. Amy, share what kind of led you to the vegan lifestyle?
Sure. Well, it was 18 years ago, so I've been vegan a really long time, and I met somebody who was vegan the first time back in 2001, and I was like, what? What's this? I had no concept of what vegan was at all, had never heard of it. Well, luckily Google existed, so I went home and researched a bunch of it. Similar to what Jared found, I also was an animal lover and thought I was somehow being kind to animals through my food choices, and realized that I wasn't. And so for me it was very similar, and I made the switch overnight and decided it was a challenge to go vegan overnight. And so which is why I'm really glad that Veg Life Des Moines does exist here in the community now, because it's helpful for people who are interested in this. If they don't have to, I did not do well my first grocery trip out because I didn't read labels. Before you're vegan, you might not read labels. You don't know what's in your food. You're just picking up what's convenient at the grocery store or what's at a restaurant. But now it's asking you to take a closer look and examine what you are eating. And that's not a bad thing, to know what you're putting in your body. And so it was a challenge as a 20-year-old at that time. But there's lots of new things that have come out since then, and there's new resources now. So there's just, with Veg Life Des Moines, for example, we have a class called Transition to Vegan that can help you.
I think we're all looking inward more now that there's more information out there and more information at our fingertips, that we can know what we're ingesting, whether that is meat or just vegetables. I think we all kind of want to know, where did this come from, a little bit more in our lives, for the most part. I know, as you said, the bulk of the meat sometimes that we get in, if we do fast food or grocery store, things like that, we don't always know where it comes from. So sometimes it's just a matter of having that information. But contrary to that belief, if we're saying don't eat meat, you brought a lot of
we wanted to talk plant-based meats.
quote unquote meat products to the table this morning. Can you talk a little bit about this?
Sure. So this is a boom in this industry right now, and there's lots of things here for those that love that taste of meat, want that to continue. So my partner, he went vegan a few years ago, and he loves these products. Like, he'll eat these every day, all the time. So we have vegan meatballs that there's a couple different varieties there. What I love is that Aldi is carrying these products now. So a few of these are actually from Aldi, so very economical for folks to pick them up. But there are burgers that are, I don't know if you can see them, they're like pink. They actually will turn brown, just like kind of your traditional meat product.
So they kind of have that look and texture.
Yeah, yep. The brats do the same thing. They cook up that way. So there's really a product for anything that you're looking for these days. So there's a chorizo there. There's, I really like the breakfast sausages. Like, that's something that I do eat, and I take them to family gatherings, and the meat eaters are like, okay, let's eat these, because they don't notice the difference.
So playing devil's advocate, because I know everyone has a reason and a passion for what they ingest, and I think we all have that right and that privilege to make that decision in our lives. Why would we be eating non-meat products if we're trying not to have meat in our lives? Like, if you're craving that flavor, why would we be doing something like this?
Sure.
There's a lot of reasons. So actually the #1 consumer of these products are meat eaters. You may hear the term flexitarian, reducitarian, some of these other terms get thrown around. But what that is people that want to have a substantially lower environmental impact. They're interested in seeing maybe trying something that tastes a little different texture. Some of these are actually very close to meat, so they're just looking to sort of reduce their impact on animals and the earth. As far as the health side, they're healthier. The general consensus is that they're healthier than especially red meats and processed meats and things like that. They're considered class 1A carcinogens by the World Health Organization. So there's some other reasons that people may have attached to health, but I think some of the bigger drivers are such as the movement, like Greta Thunberg. She's a vegan as well. Like, it's wrapped up into the environmental movement now as well.
Right.
So people are realizing this has a massive environmental impact as well. There was a study that was done by the University of Michigan that found that Beyond Meat, it was a Beyond Meat product, Beyond Burger, compared to a regular beef burger, 90% less greenhouse gas emissions, required 46% less energy, over 99% less impact to water scarcity, and 93% less land use. So with a growing population, continuing to feed them the over 70 billion land animals that we slaughter every year for food is getting to be an issue. People talk about the 7 billion people on the planet, but the 70 billion land animals that are slaughtered every year, and also the fish that we're pulling out of the oceans at an unsustainable rate, that's really wearing on people. And in fact, most of the plastic, plurality of it, 46% of the plastic in the Pacific garbage patch is abandoned fishing gear. So even most of the plastic in the ocean, or the plurality of the plastic in the ocean, is from the animal ag industry in that way. So substantially lower impact switching out to these products.
Okay.
And I would say that we are culturally in love with these products. Like, we love our burgers, we love our hot dogs. So these are ways for people to continue to enjoy that while hearing that information and saying, eeks, maybe I don't want to contribute to that either all the time or just even part of the time. And yet culturally, we still want to have those foods in our lives. And so that's what these products are here for, is for those folks that want to, still have spaghetti and meatballs or have a brat on the grill over the summer. These products are here for that in that instance.
And people were raised on it, so they still want to maybe recreate that at some point for a certain dish or whatever. But like my kids who were born and raised vegan, they actually don't like these products. So.
It's kind of what you're raised on and
eating
what
different
becomes your
stuff.
normal.
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So, and you're still able to make pizzas, burritos, burgers, all these things with just pure plant-based ingredients. You can make them with some faux animal products as well, a mix of the two. There's all kinds of options today. not really eliminating your options to say you want to give up meat. That's an awesome thing about living in 2019.
Yeah, and there's definitely, obviously, a growing demand for, because you can see all of the different versatility in the products that are being introduced all of the time. And I think the key too is just to do your homework, and I try to source things locally as much as possible. And like you said, you guys are a great resource for those who are maybe wanting to go down the path of no meat. So thank you for joining us this morning and sharing.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
having
for
us.
sharing this side.
Yes. Stay tuned. There's more to come here on Iowa Live.